Hi, how are you?
Very good, thank you very much.
Good. I'm going to use my tagline again. 2014, lean and mean.
Yes.
Or clean and lean 2014.
I like it.
They all rhyme. But no, today I thought I would chat about exercise for beginners, because I've had quite a few people message in and say, look, I'm new to this. I have really no idea where to start. Well, the good news is there's always somewhere to start, and we all had to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
So it's not anything to be frightened about, and it takes a lot of courage and, goodwill to sort of say to yourself, right, I am going to treat myself and I am going to take better care of myself. And maybe that's because for a health reason, maybe it's because you want to lose weight, or you just want to do something physical. You want to meet people, or
build your stamina. It could be anything.
Whatever reason. But at the end of the day, exercise is a magical pill that can literally cure diseases. It really can. And especially some things like heart disease and arthritis, and even the effects of type 2 diabetes can be reversed with significant levels of exercise. It's something that everyone should be doing for their hearts, for their overall well-being, and even depression has been linked to exercise can lift the spirits of people who feel a little bit depressed. Just with the endorphins that are released through chemical reactions in the body when you exercise. So if you're new to it, and I would say I would define someone as a beginner when perhaps you've obviously exercised as a child and at school and things like that, but as an adult, you haven't really exercised. Walking, I'm not going to call exercise, okay? So you haven't really been running or going to a gym or any kind of classes. So to me, that's a beginner in exercise. Okay, so the first step before you sort of even think about doing any sort of routine is to evaluate, first of all, how fit you are with your chosen physical activity. So you really need to consult a doctor just to make sure that you are actually in good health, because maybe you don't know, maybe you've got something you're not sure about. So it's always nice to get that. And if you go to any sort of gym or personal trainer, they will actually ask for a recent health check. So
or they'll at least ask you a load of questions to try and assess, You'll
be asked a lot of questions about your genetics, and if you've got any hereditary sort of diseases in your family, and
operations, any ongoing illnesses and things like that.
And current or past injuries. So, it can often feel a bit like, oh, what? I'm just coming to exercise. I'm getting asked all these questions. But of course, it's your body. For me as a personal trainer, if someone comes to me, I don't know that person. I can't just start working with them. I need to know what their history is. And even that takes a lot of time to build up a relationship and understand how somebody moves, what they might have had as an injury or anything like that. So definitely from a fitness point of view, first of all, go to a doctor just to get a little test of all your vital signs and see how you are. And then after you've assessed your fitness levels and you're ready to go, I think at that point it's nice to set some goals. Why you're doing this, why now, and what you want to achieve. So obviously, the best way of sort of goal setting is something realistic. So it's fine to say, I want to run a 5K, but it can't be done by next week.
Yeah.
It's got to be, I want to be able to run 5 kilometers in 6 months' time. And that person, or if you're going to do it yourself, you can build up a plan to get you to that point. So we'll get to that. But first of all, get your fitness evaluated, and then set some workout goals and make these goals really clear and concise. Okay, so if you've never exercised ever before and you might feel a little daunted, it's no problem, because any little amount of physical activity will make quite a difference to you if you're quite inactive. It's a little bit like if you're on holiday, you do nothing, you gain some weight. When you come back to reality, you tend to lose the weight just by going back to your daily routine, because you're moving your body again. So by moving yourself around, if you're trying to lose weight, then you definitely will by just attempting some exercise. So the American Heart Association recommends that we all do at least 30 minutes of exercise a day. So that can encompass walking, and it should be every day. Okay, so 30 minutes, but don't think, well, I can't do 30 minutes, so I'm not going to do anything. Even if you can do 5 or 10 minutes, that's going to see some sort of benefit. Okay, so that's something to really think about. Don't just think it's an all or nothing attitude. You can definitely fit it in anywhere you can. And it's very important to start low and go slow. And that's what I mean by start low in terms of weights. Too many people, they come to gyms on their own, and maybe they're a little inexperienced, and they start lifting heavy weights, and then they get injured and they don't come back. So that's what I mean by starting low. And by going slow, I mean the same thing for in terms of cardiovascularly. Don't go on a treadmill and start running, or going too fast or too long, because again, you're not conditioned for that, and your body will just get injured and get sick, and you won't come back.
It's not a race either, you've got to work at your own pace.
Yeah, and I don't want you to get discouraged. If you're new to something, you've also got to have the attitude that you are going to see it through. You set a goal, and that goal should be time constrained. So for example, 6 months. Yeah, so make it like a long-term goal, 6 months. Your short-term goals can be things like, I'll go to the gym 3 times a week. That is a goal that's achievable. It's not a silly one, it's actually a nice goal, a short-term one. But the long-term one is a 6-month plan. And after 6 months, you should probably have sort of convinced yourself this is a really good thing. You feel good, it becomes a habit, that it then becomes normal to you to go to the gym. It doesn't become like this goal any longer. It's like, oh, I go to the gym, and your goals will change, because they'll always change through time as long as you're always going. So if you're listening and you think, okay, I want to get started, I now know that I should exercise regularly, get a checkup and all of these things. How do I start? Where should I go? So as a personal trainer, my suggestion would be that you maybe do scope out getting a personal trainer. There's lots in Doha. You can Google it. There's so many people here that will be able to help you. Companies that can come to you. You can go to them. Or maybe you can join a gym that has, personal trainers. Most gyms do have personal trainers in them. And by doing that, you can even just take this person for like a few months to give you a build up of what you should do. Because if you're new to this, how do you know what you're doing? You're going to walk into a gym blind, right?
Yeah, it's a bit of and it's just going to be more daunting. You're less likely to commit to it. You don't even know what you enjoy.
No.
To a certain degree as well. Like,
that's right.
You don't know that you prefer running to team sports, or you prefer team sports to running.
That's right. And you made a really good point there, because I always say to anyone, when you try to exercise, you need to find something you're going to enjoy. And how do you know what you enjoy unless you try different things? So it's quite nice to get out there and try a group exercise class. Go along to a class, Zumba, yoga, go to a class and find what works for you. You might not be into going to classes. You might prefer to be on your own. That's not a bad thing. Everyone's different. So if a class is not for you, fine. Tick that off the list. It's not for me. I want a personal trainer. A personal trainer is the same as employing someone who is a specialist in a certain field that you don't know about. It's the exact same thing. And the body is a hugely complicated system that does require expertise. And when you take someone like a personal trainer, they'll ask you what you want to achieve, and they'll tailor a program just for you. So no program is ever the same for their clients. It's always different. And of course, if that program's not working, then you speak to them and you can change it and what have you. So I would suggest here in Doha, if you're able to, try and invest in a personal trainer and see how that works out for you. Try classes as well. And then if you're the kind of person that feels confident enough to go to a gym on your own, that's fine as well. Go into the gym and take it slow, like I've mentioned, and give yourself a program. You can even take programs from like some magazines or some YouTube videos, and you can build a program for yourself. But I do suggest this is really only if you've got a bit of knowledge on it or confidence. And to be honest, that probably would come from having been in the gym before. So complete beginner, not so likely. If you are very unconditioned, meaning you haven't done any exercise and feel really unfit, then walking is definitely the easiest way to start. So anyone can go and walk outside or on a treadmill, and I would suggest those 30 minutes every day to get you started. That's going to build up your stamina, give you a little bit of muscle tone again, just to build up your strength to get you moving. So you can do that before you went to a PT if you wanted to, or in line with it as well. You can do it inside of it. And of course, not to forget, there's also the home gym and the home DVD side of things as well. If you're that kind of person, you prefer to exercise at home, you can get some equipment for your own home. So you can get a treadmill, a cross trainer, you could even get a little rowing machine or something to have in your home and use. But don't just let it gather dust.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the problem with home. I do tend to think you're much better to have your home as your home, and a gym is a separate thing, unless you're like me, who is my job. But you should go out of your home and exercise for an hour with no phones. I hate this. No phones, and come back so that you've done your workout. That is important to you, for your body, for your fitness. And then you come back home and your home life is so it's separate. Instead of like, oh, I've got to go on that treadmill,
Yeah.
It's kind of good to do it that way. But like I said, if you are wanting to do it from home, you can also try these DVDs. There's so many DVDs now. Like, I don't know if you...
I've never tried any of them, to be honest, because I just know if the option is the sofa or to work out next to the sofa, I'm probably going to sit on the sofa instead.
And there's so many distractions. You're at home. There's dogs, there's kids, there's phones, there's the kitchen calling.
Yeah.
There is quite a lot of distractions. Yeah. I mean, I do know people who do these sort of DVDs. It is still an option. So there's so many things for you to do out there if you really want to. Something just to remember though is when we're doing any form of exercise, there's 3 main things that we must always do. You always have to warm up and cool down before any exercise. But the 3 core things are cardiovascular. So make sure you're working your cardiovascular system. So that means your heart is going a little bit faster. So walking, light jogging, cycling, rowing, something like that, even swimming as well. Resistance training, which encompasses weights. So very light weights to begin with. That helps to build bone density. It's good to build muscle as well, and tone and definition. And lastly, flexibility. So something like yoga, Pilates, any form of stretching that basically gives you, by doing the 3 things, you're getting an all-round workout, because if you do too much of one, like anything in life, it's imbalance. So it's important to have these 3 things. And any personal trainer or gym exercise class would normally encompass these things. I mean, if you went to a gym, you went to a spin class, okay, you don't normally have weights, but they will do some form of stretching at the end of it. Yeah. So try to make your routine fit these 3 things. But I think if you're a complete beginner, the easiest thing is probably to get a personal trainer. And they can really help you sculpt your body and take it in a completely different route through exercise.
It's a whole learning curve as well, isn't it? That's the thing.
And it does feel, I'm sure, you know, for people in the beginning, it's pretty daunting and a bit of a thought. But, you know, you have to look at the long term, that you're doing this for yourself for the future. So you have to have a little bit of short-term pain for long-term gain. Yeah.
And also, like you say, if you say you've got a goal of 6 months, in 6 months' time, you'll be thinking, well, of course, this is standard. This is part of my life now.
Absolutely.
So, completely worth doing.
Yeah, you'll never feel. What I've always said to people is, the first day people come to like a PT session, you'll never feel that way ever again, because that's the first day. So if you feel ill, you feel tired, you feel sweaty.
Like me, Neil, throwing up, basically. Yeah. I threw up.
Yeah, but that's common, honestly. There's nothing to worry about. But it's like, and I said to you then, didn't I? I said to you, Laura, you're never going to feel this way again. And you were really quite inspirational, because you turned that around in a positive. You're like, I'm not going to feel this way again.
Yeah, it's a bad sign when you're being sick in
you're
the
like,
gym.
I'm not going to
I
be.
can't be this week. I can't be this. You know,
you're not going to go. You're not going to go to the gym tomorrow and be sick, are you? No way. No. Because your body is so fit now and so conditioned. Why? Because you've turned up and you've made it like that. And sure, there's been times it's been really hard. I'm sure there's been times it's not been that bad. Exercise can be as hard or as easy as you want it to be. As long as you're moving, you're doing your body some good. So give that a thought.
Well, thank you very much as well to the person who had got in touch and asked about that. So exercise for beginners. We love to hear, any topics you want us to discuss. 92126 on the text and at QF Radio 2 on Twitter, because if you do have any pointers, any questions and topics, when we're happy to discuss. Yeah,
please do. Honestly, get in touch with us. We'd love to hear. And I really do find it, encouraging to hear people have suggestions for topics, because it gives me, I'd love to sit and help you. So definitely do that.
Well, we'll see you again next week on Monday.
Next week. Okay, see you then.
Have a good weekend.
You too.